This webinar is what makes email the #1 marketing tool for small businesses. This is a live webinar, so feel free during the course of the webinar to please take advantage and ask questions and respond to the polls that we'll be running. This webinar is presented by the Countess Group. We are a marketing and communications consulting firm based in the Orlando, Florida area. Masters certified by Constant Contact. We are one of their most successful authorized experts in the world. And also we are partners with several other companies as well. The Countess Group is a full-service marketing consultancy. If you need help with strategic marketing and communications, email marketing, of course, social media marketing, if you need help with a website, maybe your search engine rankings aren't high enough, we can help with search engine optimization, paid search, public relations, video marketing, reputation management, and so on. I am an internationally recognized marketing expert who spent about 25 years at big companies, names you'd know, such as Motorola and Marriott and CVS Caremark. Also still a continuing equity partner in a marketing firm based in the Dallas area called Ascend Marketing. There we have 40 employees. We're in our 16th year now, and over the last 16 years, we've served many small to medium-sized businesses and nonprofits, and some big ones as well. And you see their names and logos. There's a sampling of them on the screen right now. So companies well-known like Marriott and Verizon, University of Central Florida, some lesser-known names like Datamax O'Neill, Zebra, Alcatel-Lucent. We've done work for the Tampa Airport and for many nonprofits as well. And so here's the perspective that I bring to this event. Is not only did I sit in a corner office in many of these companies, but also now in our 16th year as small business consultants, we've seen both sides of the coin. I understand the pains of a small business as well as a big business, and I like to say that I play 70 hours a week. Play is code for work. Because if you own your own business or work for a small business or nonprofit, you know that you're thinking about your business, your organization 7 days a week. It's pretty much a 24/7 thing. So I have a very good understanding of what it takes to help businesses and nonprofits grow. I mentioned Masters Certified by Constant Contact. We were also last year's winner of an Authorized Local Expert Leadership Award. That was only awarded to 4 people around the world, so we're pretty proud of that recognition, and also received the All-Star Award for Constant Contact in 2014. Here's my contact information, and by the way, you'll be getting a copy of all of the slides that you see on screen. So you don't need to furiously write down notes and hope that you got everything. As long as you registered and provided all of your information, you'll get a copy of everything that you see. So not only do you see our email and phone and web address on this slide, but also the activity on social media, which is part of that entire marketing toolkit that you really need to be thinking about. We're very active on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, as well as Google+. We have a YouTube channel with probably 20 videos as of this webinar, and some other social channels that we're active on as well. If you have not already connected with us, I encourage you to do so. That is our Facebook company page. There are probably about 7,000 people that are following us there now. I'd encourage you to, when you have a few moments, go ahead and connect with us on Facebook, and also connect with us on LinkedIn. I mean, really connect with me on LinkedIn. If you've attended this webinar and you send in a request to Connect Networks, I'll gladly accept that invitation. There are nearly 4,000 business professionals that are connected to me on the first circle on LinkedIn, which makes it a very powerful place for you to be connected. So enough of the preliminaries. Let's talk about what we're going to cover during this webinar. We're going to cover how email continues to evolve. We're going to spend most of the time talking about the 10 success factors. What is it you really need to know in order to be a successful email marketer? And then we'll talk about the next steps. So, many of us hear, see, learn, participate in social media. We hear about Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, Instagram, and many, many others. It seems like all day, every day, which would make you think, well, maybe email is dead. Is email dead? Not at all. In fact, these are two recent articles that appeared. One appeared in Forbes magazine about how email is still way more effective than other social media, and a recent survey conducted that this appeared in entrepreneur.com, how email is 40 times more effective than Facebook and Twitter. In fact, part of that Forbes article called out the fact that customer acquisition via email has more than quadrupled in the last 4 years. More than quadrupled in the last 4 years. And that's when we hear every day about other social media. And I say other social media because email marketing really was the first in the way of social. We've been using email marketing now. Believe it or not, email has been around in the consumer space since the late 1980s. Here's something else, and this was a study done by ExactTarget, that 77% of consumers prefer to be marketed to via email marketing. 77%. Now, that's consumers. That's you and me. So whether we are business to business, business to consumer, or nonprofit, more than 3/4 of us still prefer to be marketed to via email. Now, here's a quick question for you. I'm going to run several polls during the course of this webinar. My question right now is, how did you learn about this webinar? Was it via email? Was it social media? Was it word of mouth? Or was it a combination of the above? Just go ahead and select one of those four and hit the submit button. I'll share the results with you in just a few moments, but I need everybody to participate. So if you haven't already selected one of those, go ahead and do so now. Was it via email? Was it social media? Was it word of mouth? Or was it a combination of the above? Go ahead and select one and then hit the submit button, and I'll reveal the results in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, poll closed. Here's what you said. And not too surprisingly, nearly 3/4 of those on this webinar, and we have a great turnout, said that they found out about the webinar via email, and a pretty good number as a combination of the above. Nobody through the other social media, and quite a few through word of mouth. So, boy, if that doesn't prove to you how well email works, that may be a leading indicator. In fact, email marketing works so well that it truly is undergoing quite a bit of a renaissance. You'll now find that even the big box stores, even the big retailers are now relying on email marketing to get the word out about their services and products. And so names like these, Costco, True Value, Kohl's, Steinmart, Office Depot, Subway, Home Depot, just to name a few, they now ask you for your email address. And I can assure you that they're not asking you for your email address just to save paper. They're doing it because they understand the value and the power of an email marketing campaign. This may be a surprising fact to you. In 2014, the most recent year for which we have data, email marketing was cited as the most effective digital marketing channel for customer retention in the United States. And 44% of email recipients made at least one purchase last year based on a promotional email. So what does that mean for you and me? Well, take a look at this. Email marketing has a return on investment of 44 to 1. And this is data that was just recently revised. When this webinar was done just a month ago, the data was that email marketing's return on investment was lower than that. So very important that you understand the significance of email if you're not already using it today. Now, I'd like to ask a quick question just so I have a good sense of who makes up the majority of this webinar audience. Here's another quick poll for you. Is your organization business to business? Is it business to consumer? Or are you a nonprofit entity? And I don't mean you're in business not making money yet. So go ahead and select one of those three buttons and then hit the submit button, and I'll reveal the results of the poll in just a moment. We need a few more people to round out the total, so we'll wait another few seconds. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, poll closed. Thanks for participating. About 2/3, actually just under 60%, are business to consumer organizations, about 30% B2B, and the balance nonprofit. That's really helpful. It probably helps you as well, but this is a good way for me to be able to tailor the comments for the balance of this live event. Now, here's the situation today. Very, very clear. We are pressed for time, aren't we? I don't think there's anybody here that has more time than they know what to do with, is there? And as a result, you know, we're so pressed and stressed, and we are literally exposed to thousands of messages every day. Now, I get an average of 650 emails a day. Think about the rest of your day, whether you're watching TV, whether you're listening to the radio, reading a newspaper, out on the highway seeing billboard after billboard. We're competing for the attention of our audience. And it's not getting any better, folks. Here's a study that was done and published by Statistic Brain, which said that the average attention span in 2013 was 8 seconds. 8 seconds, which means that we need to do, as marketers, we need to do an outstanding job of capturing someone's attention so that they stick with us for more than just those 8 seconds. So with respect to marketing, and specifically email marketing, life has changed a lot. What you're seeing on screen right now is the typical email newsletter that was sent out as recently as a year or two ago. How many of you, just go ahead and raise your hand using the control panel. Raise your hand and let me know how many of you have, and I won't share the results, how many of you are sending emails out that look like these right now? Go ahead and raise your hand. Don't be shy. Yeah, I know. There are quite a few of you, and I'm not too surprised. That is very typical. So I'm glad that you're on this event today, because you'll see a few reasons why you may need to think differently about your email campaigns. This is one of those reasons. 91% of people check their email at least once a day on their smartphone. That makes it far and away the most used application on a mobile device. Mobile meaning smartphone or tablet. And so what that means is, because now we have a very small screen to get our messaging out, life is changing very, very quickly. With all of this as a backdrop, now what do we as marketers do so that we can cut through the clutter and really be memorable, so that if someone looks at our email on that small screen, and by the way, the data is that more than 50% of people open up an email for the first time on a smartphone or tablet. So let's now jump into the best practices, those 10 success factors that you really do need to pay attention to when you think about email marketing. What I want to do before we jump into this is ask you one more question, and that is, right now, how often do you send out an email to your list? once a quarter, once a month, once a week, once a day, or you don't use email marketing yet. So go ahead and go ahead and select from what you see on screen. Go ahead and push one of those buttons and then hit submit and let me know how you're using email marketing. And if you're not, that's okay too. Okay, we've got most everybody, the majority of you anyway, have already selected one of the above. So we'll go ahead and close the poll. And here's how you all responded. About half use email about once a month, 17% once a week, and about a third are not yet using email marketing. Okay, so it's good that you're all participating in this today for a variety of reasons. Okay, so here's success factor number one. When you're sending out an email, be sure that you are recognizable. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that 68% of us, when we open up our inbox in the morning or midday, the first thing we consciously or subconsciously ask ourselves is, who's sending me this email? And really what we're doing here is there's a battle of priorities going on in our head. So what you need to do as a marketer is set it up so that you'll be most recognizable. And that may be that if, for example, you're working for a nonprofit, that you list the name of the nonprofit right there in the from line. If people do business with you as an individual, of course, then you would use your first name, last name, and then your organization right after that. The idea here is that no matter what way you are marketing your organization, whether it's email or one of the other social media channels, you want to be consistent in your personal or business branding. You want to be as recognizable as possible on a consistent basis. Here's success factor number two. Your subject line is also very important. 68% of us judge whether to open up an email based on who it's from. 38% after we go through that first filter is the subject line. So we ask ourselves first, okay, who is sending me this email? And the second question we ask is, how important really is this for me to open up right now? So the subject line is very important. Again, 38% of us judge whether to open up an email based on the subject line. So as part of trying to win out this battle of priorities, make that subject line count. So, for example, you probably received a few emails from me reminding you that the webinar was coming up. Well, the first email that you got would have said that it was coming from me, and you may or may not have really thought about the importance of it. But when you looked at the subject line, that little teaser, a reminder, it's your webinar and it's starting soon, that may have gotten your attention. In fact, before this webinar started, I took a quick look at who had actually opened up the webinar reminder, and it was a very, very high percentage. So the other thing that we need to be thinking about is, remember people's attention span. It's 8 seconds on average. So once again, thinking in terms of winning the battle of priorities, we have something we call the 2-2-2 rule, which basically means we have 2 seconds. We need to get the message across quickly. So in the first 2 words of the subject line, there has to be some sort of a sense of urgency so that the recipient of your email opens up that email today. Again, we talk about this as the 2-2-2 rule. So what does that look like in real practice? Well, an email, you may get an email and the subject line says monthly calendar. Well, that, I'm sorry, is not going to motivate someone to open up that email right away. Perhaps instead, it's 3 easy ways to increase sales. That is far more likely to get the attention of one of your readers and really trigger a response from them to go ahead and open that email. By the same token, latest news, probably not going to do it. But if you're an accountant, alert, tax laws change. That's certainly going to get anybody's attention. And lastly, children's classes. Probably not going to help a whole lot. Rather, still time, openings available for children's classes is going to have a much higher open rate. I'm going to ask you a question. It's appearing right now in the chat box, and it should say, what business are you in? Let me know. Are you with a business or nonprofit? What kind of a business are you in? If you're like me, you may type slowly, so I'll go ahead and wait. But go ahead and use that question box or the chat box, and let me know what kind of a business that you're in. That'll help guide the rest of this event. We have someone in a ministry. Thank you. Educational festivals. Thank you. Real estate, health field. Okay. Great. Thank you all for your answers, and I'll keep watching as they come in. Franchiser of an enrichment program for daycare centers that focus on fitness. Terrific. Okay, keep them coming. Here's one of the ways that you can enable more people, get more people to open up your emails, and that is by including the word video in the subject line. Data says that that may actually increase your open rates by as much as 20%. We are drawn to video. We would much rather be entertained than have to read. So if we see that there's a video in the email, that increases the probability that we'll open up the email. But opens really don't have the same value of clicks. It's nice to know that somebody opened up your email, isn't it? But as email marketing professionals and experts, we want to guide you much more toward the notion that you want people to click on content inside your email. So what does that look like? Well, maybe something like this. When you got that email reminder not long ago, you probably saw something that looks like this. I think this time around I may have actually had the real URL in there. But that enabled me to see who was actually not just opening that email, maybe at a stoplight, hopefully a stoplight and not a green light, but also who was taking action. Here's success factor number 3. Keep it short and sweet. What do I mean by that? Well, we don't have much screen space. I'll refer to that as real estate. We don't have a whole lot of real estate when we know that more than half of people today are viewing our email communications on a smartphone or tablet or other small screen. So less is more. If you're one of those like me that really doesn't like to write a whole lot, you're in good shape, because without much space, you shouldn't write very much. The truth is that, and this is a study that Google did not too long ago, 78% of people do not scroll to the bottom of an email. So knowing that, keep your emails focused. Remember what I mentioned earlier. 91% of us are looking at an email on a smartphone or other small device. This is an example, real world, of a series of emails that I sent out not too long ago. And if you look at the area that's encircled, the column on the left shows that how many people, what percentage of people opened up each of those emails on a big screen versus the right column, which is the small screen. And you can see that as high as 100% of people were opening up email on a small screen. So that tells you right away, keep your emails much smaller, much shorter, and keep them mobile friendly. What do I mean by that? Well, this is an example of an email of one of our clients who actually sends an email out every other week. And at the top of the email is a picture, in the middle is a short headline, and then a brief description, and then a link to his website. It's just enough to get the message across about who he is, what he does, what his products and services are, and then leading you to go ahead and click to his website. Or in this example, also inviting you to see him when he's at one of the art shows that he routinely attends and displays it. Success factor number 4, be informative. Don't waste people's time. Don't always be trying to sell. Be informative, be educational, and that gives you some great ways to send out information of value to your audience. So what do you write about? Well, if you're an educator, uh, I see here we have people in real estate and the health field with the ministry. You've got an awful lot of information that you could write about. And if you're having a hard time coming up with things, you can write about things that you know that your audience doesn't know. You have access to content that they don't have, and original isn't required. You actually can take content that appears elsewhere on the web and repurpose it. You can repurpose it as long as you give attribution to the people who originally created the content. Success factor number 5, make sure you have a very clear call to action. When you look at emails like these, they may look attractive, but it doesn't do the sender very much good if the receiver can't figure out what it is they want you to do with that email. For example, that image all the way over on the right, that's an image that is very engaging. What they were really trying to do in that email is sell tickets to their event. But yet you had to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the email in order to do that. And that limited their opportunity to sell more tickets. So the call to action is key. Again, I show you the email that I showed a few moments ago, where no matter what size screen this was being viewed on, you could see the call to action. It says just click this link, and the link was highly visible. Here's success factor number 6. Use images wisely. Email and other social media obviously are very image intensive. We want to convey what we have to convey in pictures as often as possible. But it's very easy for you to kind of overdo it and lose an opportunity. Here's why. 67% of people receiving an email do not have images activated on their email client. This isn't about what you've sent, it's how it's being received. The default settings on Outlook and Gmail and an iPhone and Android phones and so on, they're all set up so that the images are not activated when the email is first received. This is in part a throwback to two different things. One is that for a long time, images consume a fair amount of data in a cell phone data plan. They don't anymore. And the cell phone providers are becoming a little bit more generous. The other is that people were always, and still continue to be, and rightfully so, concerned that they may be getting a virus when they try to activate an image. So my point to you is, make sure you understand that you need text as well as images, and don't over-rely on images. Here's an example. Here is an email where the images weren't activated, and you see where the arrow is pointing to that little red X in the box. You can't see what it is that that individual or that company was looking to present. So you need to be sure that the text accompanies the image. Success factor number 7 is don't overdo it. I asked a few moments ago, as you know, how often you send out an email. Monthly is most common. And you have to really ask yourself, for your type of organization, and I know the majority of people responded that they're with a retailer, you have to ask yourself, when are my readers most likely to take the action I want them to take? Think about yourself. Think about how often you would want someone to send you an email. You don't want them flooding your inbox. You want to have control over the inbox. If you send too many emails, the odds are pretty high that people will unsubscribe, unless it's something of high value to them, something they find educational. Which begs the question then, when to should you send an email? It's not quite enough to understand how frequently you should send an email, but when to send is also important as well. Lucky for you, you've got now access to some brand new data, a new study that was done by Constant Contact. They took a look at over 2 billion, with a B, emails that were sent, and they broke down by industry of the sender when the best time to send an email would be. And so for restaurants, I don't know if we have any restaurants on this webinar, but Monday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, was the best day and time to send out that email to get the highest open rate. Why Monday morning for a restaurant? Well, many restaurants offer their weekly specials, and so when they send out that email on a Monday, then their readers get to see what their specials are for the balance of the week. And you could see on the rest of the chart there, this identifies about 6 different industries. And if you went to, in fact, if you ask me to, if you send me a note, I'll go ahead and send you a more detailed list. So hopefully you'll find your industry listed if it's not already there. Success factor number 9, it's all about the click. It's all about the click. I mentioned earlier that open rates are nice, but open rates really don't help you very much because that's not really an action. If someone is looking at your email on a smartphone and they're not doing anything other than opening up the email, that does not help you get that cash register to ring. And that's really what it's all about. You have about 15 seconds when someone opens up your email. The average person spends 15 seconds on an email. So what does that say for you? It means that in your emails you cannot give too many choices. Have just 1 or 2 calls to action, because your audience is increasingly looking at your email on a very small screen. And make your images clickable too. We've been conditioned by Facebook and the other social media that when we see an image, we like to click on it, make that image bigger. Well, do the same thing with your emails too. We're conducting what we call the Constant Contact Academy over the next several weeks and months, where we teach you exactly how to do this. If you're not familiar with it already, reach out to me and I'll give you some ideas. Here's the other thing to know. The fewer links you have in your email, the more clicks you're likely to get. Sounds a little counterintuitive. But what happens is when you have lots of things for your audience to click on inside your email, the data is there, that the more links you have, the less people click on your email. So they look at it and they think there's too much here, I'll come back to it later, and they don't. So what this chart is showing you is that for emails with just 1 clickable link, the click rate is very high in comparison to other emails with multiple links. By the time you get to 5 links or more, you get very few, if any, clicks on your email. So if what you're trying to do by sending out your campaign is to get the cash register to ring, whether you're selling products and services, whether you're looking for donations, take the words of advice and don't use many links in your email. And here's success factor number 10. Make sure you pay attention to the data. Every email marketing service gives you a rich amount of data that will help guide you and tell you exactly what you need to do to increase the results that you're getting through your campaigns, It may suggest that you do more of some actions and less of a few others. Here's one example of an email that we sent out not long ago where we had an open rate of 26%, but the click rate, and that's the percentage of people who opened up an email, that's the percentage of those who clicked on links inside that email. All of that data is very, very helpful to you. And in fact, taking you to the next step, on this slide, what you can see is that there was one link that out of 119 unique clicks, that one link got nearly 75% of the activity. That's powerful information. And here's something else, and this is inside the Constant Contact dashboard, is you can see at a glance which of your emails is doing the best compared to the industry average. In this example, this dotted blue line I'm pointing to down near the bottom of the screen, that's the industry average of open rates for consultants. These are the results we're getting, obviously way above the average. Now, this dotted red line is the average number of clicks for consultants, and as you could see here, with the exception of one email, every one of our emails that went out during that period had clicks way above the industry average. So what does that mean for you? Well, the next step is to just know that you really can do this. These 10 success factors are things that you can put to work right away. The whole goal is to keep it simple. And I want to remind you that email marketing's ROI, that's the return on investment, is over 44 to 1. That is light years ahead of direct mail and other social media. And here's an example of one of our clients. This is a promotional specialties company that's in Daytona Beach, Florida, that before she came to one of these seminars, they were doing about $50,000 a year in business. And then just 6 short months after she started using email marketing, we helped her get it set up, she generated an additional $250,000 in just 6 months' time. And she called recently to say, wow, shame on me. And I said, well, what do you mean shame on me? And she said, I can't believe I waited so long. We're now doing over $500,000 a year. We stopped doing all other email marketing, we stopped doing any other marketing. All we do now is email marketing, and our business has grown tenfold in just 2 years. So my encouragement to you is to start today. For those of you who are not yet using email marketing, it starts at only $20 a month. And that's pretty amazing. You can send as many emails as you want to up to 500 email addresses for $20 each month. And so my question then, of course, is, well, wouldn't you invest $20 a month to grow your business knowing that on average you'd get 44 to 1 back? I think the answer is pretty clear. So we have a few ways that we can help you. You can do it yourself, of course. We provide free training. So if you're not yet using email marketing, contact us. I'm actually going to show you a URL that you can go to so you can get started today. Everything is month to month. There's no contracts. You can get 7 days a week, telephone support, and there's no risk. There's actually a 30-day money-back guarantee. So here's a promotion that Constant Contact is running right now. It's an exclusive offer for you as an attendee of this webinar. You can get 15% off your first 12 months of Email Plus. That's the next version up from Basic, and 15% off for every month for the balance of 2016. That package starts at $45 a month, but then you can take 15% off right away. And if you're a nonprofit, or if you like to prepay, you can take additional discounts as well. So I'm going to put a special URL for you in the chat box, and you could actually click that URL and then redeem promo code ALEJAN16. That's ALEJAN16 in all caps, and that will give you the additional 15% off. And then you can call me and I'll arrange to have the additional discounts handled for you as well. If you're a member of a chamber, if you're a member of SCORE, if you're a nonprofit, if you'd like to prepay for 6 months or a year, all of those give you an additional discount off of that 15%. And if you're already a customer, think mobile. Constant Contact will give you a mobile-friendly email template that normally is $99. They'll do it for $79. And again, that's a limited time offer, only good until the end of the month. So here's what a website match template looks like. It enables you to get an email template that's mobile responsive, mobile friendly, that looks just like your website with your logo at the top. As you see on the left, that would be an image of a website. And on the right-hand side, that would be your email marketing template. We'd put your logo up there, have social media buttons for you, have the color palette and all, so that when someone got your email, it would appear to be that they went to your website or received a page from your website in their inbox. And then you'd set it up so that if they would click on one of the links in the email, it would take them to the website. So once again, the URL is in the chat box now. It's bit.ly/constant contact by now. And so if you've got any questions about this, you can go ahead and throw those in the question box. And Megan, I see your question. It's ALEJAN. And the chat box is in the way. That's good. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. And that URL, by the way, ties you directly to us. And as I mentioned earlier, we are one of Constant Contact's very top experts in the world. So we offer free help for anybody that signs up for a new account. Either I or my assistant will get on the phone with you and we'll do a live webinar with you and help you get started. We can help you upload your contact list, really get things underway and get you off to a flying start. If you're not using it and just want to try a trial, you can certainly do that too. The easiest way is pick up your smartphone and just send a text. Type my name in the message box and send it to 99000, and the system will set you up with a trial account right away. For those of you who are anywhere in Florida, we've got the Constant Contact Marketing Academy coming up. There's one tomorrow. I'll actually be conducting all 3 of these. The one tomorrow is in Port St. Lucie, Florida. That's between Vero Beach and West Palm Beach. And there's the URL. If you'd like to attend, we actually have just 2 seats left for that one. So it's bit.ly/ and you can see the rest. In a couple of weeks, we'll be in Ocala, Florida. So if you're anywhere on the west coast of the state, I did one in Gainesville about 2 weeks ago, and someone drove all the way in from Tallahassee, and someone drove all the way in from Ocala. It's pretty much a full-day event. People get a lot out of it. You walk away with not only a whole day's course, you basically learn a year's worth of content working within your own account at these academies. So you can join us and you'll get a workbook that you'll leave with. We'll give you one-on-one help. They're really great events. So January 27th, which if you're watching this live and not on a replay, that's tomorrow. That's in Port St. Lucie. On February 9th in Ocala, Florida. They run from about 9 until noon, little afternoon. Sometimes we go as late as 4:30. And then on February 25th in Lakeland, Florida, which is pretty much the center of the state. It's between Tampa and Orlando, and you can get to it from most anywhere. So registration is open for each one of those three. I hope that if you're interested, you'll take advantage of that and spend the day with us live in a classroom setting. You bring your laptop and log into your account, and we help you through each element of becoming an email expert. Now, if you're using Constant Contact for newsletters and announcements, you may or may not be aware that that same account enables you to get feedback and surveys, create events. When you registered for this webinar, you were actually inside Constant Contact. It was my event registration, and you signed up, and I got an alert that you signed up and knew to send you automated emails and so on. And then you can also do offers and promotions right from inside that same account. I'd invite you to also join our VIP club. If you're already using Constant Contact, we have over 1,700 members. It's free to join. There are no membership fees. We provide up to $2,000 in free services, including a complimentary review of your monthly newsletter if you'd like that. Just send me an email. Send it to that email address that you see the yellow arrow pointing to, and we'll get you into the club. Again, no membership fees, and it's free to join. Our next classes and webinars, you can find them at the URL here that you see on screen, bit.ly/marketingclasses. This is one of 8 different classes that we're doing in the month of January. We have an equally heavy calendar of events in February, March, and April. We're actually already booking out into November. So if you go to that URL, you'll be able to see all of the events that we have coming up, and I hope you'll join us for as many of those as you can. I want to thank you for joining us today. If you need a speaker for an event, let's say you're with an association, I know that several of you work for rather large organizations. Maybe you're congregants. I know there are at least a few that work at a ministry, or maybe you hold educational festivals. If you need a speaker for an event, if you need a keynote speaker, if you need someone for a breakout at perhaps a couple of day-long conference, reach out to me, and we can certainly, if there's time available on the calendar, we could talk about being a speaker at your event. And of course, if you need marketing help, you can always reach out to us either on our website, send us an email, give us a call, find us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. There's the number you can call if you need any help. We have plenty of time for questions, so we'll keep the question box open. I do want to ask you is whether you have an interest in getting more information about the VIP Club. If you do, go ahead and click the yes button. If you are not interested at this time, you can go ahead and click the no button, and then go ahead and hit submit. If you say yes, then we'll send an email to you at the close of the webinar, either later today or sometime tomorrow, with more information about how you might join. So with that, we'll take some time out and answer any questions you might have. I want to thank you very much for joining me today and for your participation throughout the event. And I'll stand by and take questions. If you are watching this on a replay, go ahead and reach out to us using the email address that you see below, or reach out to us using any of the information that you now see on screen. Once again, there is our contact information. I want to thank you once again for joining us today, and we'll stick around to answer questions, and look forward to hearing from you again. Thanks for